So, you've got this amazing idea for a business, right? You're ready to build something incredible. But here's the thing, every great venture needs a solid foundation. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the entrepreneur's official rulebook, business law.
I mean, I'm guessing for a lot of you watching, that's a big yes. That little spark, that feeling that you can create something totally new, it's what drives everything. You've got the idea, you've got the passion. But what comes next?
Because let's be real, business is kind of like a game. It's exciting, it's competitive, and the stakes can be pretty high. And like any game, you need rules to make sure it's fair and to give everyone a real shot at winning. Well, that rulebook, that's business law.
So let's jump right into Section 1, the rules of business. Before we can even start playing, we've got to understand the field we're playing on. You can think of business law as the operating system for the entire world of commerce. It's this whole framework that basically tells companies what they can do, what they can't do, and how they should go about doing it. It's not there to get in your way, it's there to make sure there's a clear path for everybody. And this quote just nails it. This isn't some friendly suggestion, It's the absolute bedrock of how business works. A contract, for example, is just a piece of paper unless the law says it's enforceable. Without that legal framework, the whole game just stops. Okay, so now that we get the basic rules, it's time to actually build our business. And that brings us to Section 2, choosing your player. Your very first big decision has nothing to do with your product. It's all about the legal shape your business is going to take. And really, this choice boils down to one huge question. How much personal risk are you cool with? If you go with a partnership and the business gets into debt, well, your personal stuff, your house, your car, could be on the line. That's what we call unlimited liability. But a company, that creates a kind of legal shield. It has limited liability, which means your personal finances are kept separate. And that's not just about protection, it's a huge strategic advantage that lets you take the calculated risks you need to grow.
All right, you've picked your player, you're officially in the game. Welcome to Section 3, making deals and moves. This is the fun part, where you're actually selling things, hiring people, and bringing your vision to life. And guess what? Every single one of these moves is guided by that rulebook.
At the heart of pretty much everything you do in business is this simple but super powerful idea, the contract. It seems so basic, right? Someone makes an offer, someone else says yes. But this little two-step dance is the legal engine that powers everything from you buying your morning coffee to a massive corporate merger. Of course, that rulebook has different chapters for all sorts of situations. There are specific laws that lay the groundwork for every agreement, other laws that protect both buyers and sellers, and even rules for things like checks and bank transfers. And a really big one, labor laws, which make sure the relationship between a company and its employees is fair for everyone.
So, we've talked about the what of business law, but just knowing the rules isn't quite enough. In Section 4, we're going to get into the why, the guiding principles. See, the law isn't just a bunch of random rules. It's actually built on a foundation of what society thinks is right and wrong.
Here's a way to think about it. The law tells you what you have to do. Ethics, on the other hand, guides you on what you should do. The law is often just the bare minimum for ethical behavior. But the truly great businesses, they don't just aim for the minimum. They operate with a moral compass, trying to do what's right, not just what's required by the letter of the law. And this visual? It explains a really important ethical idea perfectly. The difference between equity and equality. See, equality is giving everyone the exact same box to stand on, but equity is giving everyone the right size box so they can all see over the fence. The law often tries to achieve equity. For instance, some rules, like corporate social responsibility, expect bigger, more profitable companies to give back more to society. It's not always about treating everyone exactly the same. It's about making sure the final outcome is fair. Look, no matter how well you play or how carefully you follow the rules, sometimes disputes just happen. A deal falls through, a client doesn't pay. So, what do you do then? Well, that brings us to Section 5, when things go wrong. It's time to call the referee. This is one of the most important jobs of the legal system. It's not just about setting the rules of the game, but also stepping in to resolve fights when the rules get broken. And for businesses, there are basically two main ways to handle this. So you've got to choose your battleground wisely. There's litigation, that's the traditional go-to-court system, which, let's be honest, can be super expensive and take forever. That's why so many businesses are now turning to something called alternative dispute resolution, or ADR. It's a whole set of tools to solve problems outside of a courtroom, and it's almost always faster, cheaper, and way more flexible. Let's just walk through how this works. It all starts with negotiation, which is just you and the other side trying to talk it out. If that doesn't work, you might move to mediation, where a neutral person helps you find common ground. Then there's arbitration, where that neutral person actually listens to both sides and makes a decision for you. The very last resort, at the far end, is a formal trial. See how as you move down the line, you give up more and more control? That's why those first few steps are so popular in business.
So yeah, I get it. Business law can feel like a lot. It can seem really complex. But I want you to think about it this way. You would never, ever try to build a huge skyscraper without a detailed blueprint, would you? Business law is that blueprint. It's the structure, the foundation, and the safety plan that lets you build something that's strong, that lasts, and that can truly succeed. So the real question isn't whether it's complex, it's could you really afford to build without it?